Okay, students, welcome you all. Suddenly we have to change our plan. So I plan to do government and business today, but suddenly I remembered that it was very important to discuss uh, the business environment, right? You might think it was easy thing, but it was very important to business paper, right? So we are discussing the business environment today, and also we are discussing the social responsibilities and business ethics, right? So it was also a crucial factor, and also the smallest lesson in the syllabus, the smallest lesson in the entire syllabus. So we can manage it. We can do it in simple period of time, right? Okay. So today we are going to discuss, as I said, business environment, right? So we can classify business environment like this, right? So we are going to draw a flow chart, right? So draw it with me, and also we are going to discuss what are the factors in those different environments, right? So if you learn those factors in those different environments, right? That is the key thing to write an answer, right? So you should remember what are the key factors in those different environments, right? Okay. Okay, I'm start drawing here, right? Business environment. Draw it with me, right? So these are simple things, but in exam might be very valuable, right? Okay. We can classify this business environment in two main parts, right? What are two main parts? What are those two main parts? Internal environment and external environment, right? Internal and external environment. Internal environment. Environment. Okay. Then external environment. Okay. So we can mainly classify these two into two main environments, internal and external, right? So what are the importance of these importance of studying these internal and external environment? Like think you are having a business, right? You are having a business. So when you are having a business, you should know what are the internal things in your business and what are the external things in your business, right? Not in what are the external things that relate to your business, right? So, right, simply we can get, right, in it as internal environment factors, right? Simply we can get owners, right? Because you are the one who started the business, right? So there are owners, right? Owners are the one who started the business, right? So it is the first internal factor, right? Owners. So there are owners. Then after owners there are managers, right? Managers, and also who employees are there, right? Then there are managers and employees, right? Human resources in the business, managers and employees, right? Managers and employees, right? Then these are actually living things in the business, no? These are the living things, living factors in the business, in the internal environment, right? These are the living factors, right? So there are non-living factors also, right? Non-living, but there is some energy, right, within those factors, right? What is the first one? What is the first one? So there is, right, organizational culture. Culture. Okay, what is organizational culture, right? So everyone know, right? There is different cultures in different organizations, right? Think, yeah, let's get an example. Your school, right? Your school having a different culture, right? Sometimes now in the class there are few people who done their school journey, right? But remember your past days, right? So what happened in your school, right? What happened in your school, right? You should wear a unique uniform. Everyone should wear a unique uniform to your school, right? To your school, there is a unique uniform to your school. Then you should comb your hair in a different way, right? So, unlike other students, right? So, you can compare, right? You can compare your school students and other school students by your behavior and your features and everything, right? That is called organization culture, right? Each and every organization, right? Think there are different banks, right? Then there are different corporate companies, right? So different companies have different organization culture, right? So they are the time in and time out, right? There are different time in and time out of different organizations, right? So in local organizations, commonly it was timing was actually uh, 8:30 to 9 p.m., right? But but there are foreign companies, right? In Sri Lanka, within Sri Lanka, there are foreign companies. They start their they start their works at 12:30 or 1 p.m., right? Likewise, there are different organization cultures, right? According to according to their organization, it was different, right? Then organization structure, right? Next one is organization structure. Organizational structure. Okay. What is structure? Right? Each and every organization has a different structure, right? So they assume your school, right? Think as an example, get your school, right? There's principal, right? After that, there are vice principals. Then there are section heads, right? Then there are teachers, and then there are prefects, right? Like that, likewise then there are students, likewise then also there are non-academic stuff, likewise it was an hierarchy, right? So in organizations also, right, in businesses also, there is a different organization structure, right? The way they follows responsibilities, way they share responsibilities, the way they share their resources, right? So that is organization structure, right? You should remember that, right? Then uh, there are assets, right? Other assets, right? Other resources, assets and resources, right? So these are internal environment factors, right? These are internal environmental factors, right? It was very simple, right? So what is the thing that occurs? What is the thing that happens when we learn about internal environment? What are the benefits that we can gain after studying internal environment factors? So you know that, right? You know that. What are the advantages? What are the benefits? What are the benefits? What are the benefits? Just put it on your chat. I would like to hear your sweet voices, right? If you can't speak, anyway, just put it on put it on the chat. What are the importance of studying internal environment? No one knows that. Okay, no one is answering. So we can found our strengths and weaknesses in internal environment, right? Yeah. Identify strengths and identify weaknesses, right? Okay. So how can we identify strengths, right? So what is strength? So strength is something that uh, the sense is something positive, right? So think you have a very knowledgeable owners, very knowledgeable managers, right? What you can do, right? You can face each and every situation with a in a high note, right? To think there is a difficult situation, there is an very strange situation, so you can face it positively because you have a knowledgeable manager, right? Think the employees are motivated, right? It is a strength, right? So when the employees are motivated, but definitely organization will flow to a good path, right? So their productivity will increase, right? Because the employees are motivated, right? Then what happen when the company is having upgraded assets, right? Upgraded resources, right? Whatever the efficiency will definitely will be high, right? Okay, then we are going to discuss the external environment, right? So in internal environment, we can find, right? We can find strengths and weaknesses, right? Strengths and weaknesses. Okay, right? We can identify strengths and weaknesses, right? Okay, what are the things that we can found through external environment? What are the environments? What are the two types of environment in external environment? So there are two types of environments, right? First one is task environment. Yeah, task environment. Also, we can say like closest environment, right? Closest environment because it was very close to the business, right? So let's write task environment. Task environment. Okay. Then what is the other one? What is the other one? The macro environment. Yes, you're right. Macro environment. Right? Okay. So there are some questions like you should write all the macro environment factors, macro environment elements, right? So you should write what are they? There are 8 macro environment, right? So when the question is asking, you should write what are the macro environmental factors, right? You should write all the 8 environmental factors, right? All the 8 environments because it was a 2 point question, right? You can earn 2 points, but if you wrote 7, right? If you wrote 7, you only receive 1.5 marks, right? They're deducting. It doesn't matter. You wrote 7, right? It doesn't matter. They are expecting 8, right? Because it was very simple, and you should remember all the 8 environments in there, right? Okay. Okay, now we are discussing what are the task environmental. Yeah, you are right, right? So there is a way that we can remember that is called pestle analysis, right? Pestle analysis, right? We are discussing that, right? We are discussing that. You are a bright man, no? So you might think I'm not discussing the hard lessons. Now we are only discussing simple lessons, but these are also very important, right? We are coming to the hard lessons, right? Don't worry, Buddha. Don't worry. We are coming to the hard lessons. Definitely, we will discuss those lessons, right? Just keep in touch. Just keep in touch. We are discussing everything, right? I will give my everything to you, right? We are discussing everything, right? Just watch all the revision recordings and whatever the thing, right? Just join the program, join the live session. I will appreciate if you are joining the live session very much, right? If you join the live session, I will appreciate you very much. And also, we are having next Wednesday. We are having a live paper session. I will deliver your paper to your home. Right? We are doing it live. Right? You should turn on your cameras. Right? You should turn on your cameras. Right? You should turn on your speakers, and you should show me your table before you are writing the paper. And also, the paper, the file is you can open it when we start the exam, right? You can't open it until we are starting the exam, right? Until we are starting the test, right? Because it should be more transparent because I'm not in your home, right? So I'm far away from your home. I can't I can't inspect you. So you should be more transparent. You should show me your table, and you should turn on your cameras, right? And that's how we are going to do papers, right? We are discussing that paper same day, right? But we can't discuss the second part. We can't discuss the second part at the same day. So we are not doing that, right? Second part is like that, also like that, right? After we discuss. After I watch your papers, after I check your papers, we can discuss at the next week, right? Okay, that's how we are going to do papers, right? Just keep in touch. We are discussing everything, right? So we are discussing task environment now, right? So in task environment, just tell me what are the people who in the task environment, what are the living things and what are the non-living things, right? So here task environment, actually all these are all of them are living things, right? First one is customers. Customers, there are customers, right? So you know that this is the most important thing for an business, because customer is the foundation, right? Customer is the base, right? Customer is sometimes king, right? Sometimes customer is annoying, right? If you handle any customer, right, definitely you will notice that customers are annoying, right? Even you, right? You're not, you're not, supplies are there, right? You're not responding me on time, right? It was very annoying, right? Customers are very annoying, right? So if you handle sometimes, so there is a bank employee here, right? Definitely, she know that how annoying customers are, right? So then we are discussing suppliers. Yeah, suppliers, competitors. Yeah, suppliers. Then there are competitors. Then potential interest. Potential entrance. Okay, so suppliers, right? So they are the ones who supply raw materials for our company, right? For our business, right? If you are on a business, suppliers are very important task environmental factor, right? So without suppliers, we can't fulfill our orders, we can't fulfill our production, right? So then there is competitors, right? So you might think that competitor, right? So competitor is a task environment factor because it was very close to the business, right? So yeah, producer of substitute, right? So there are a few more, right? Okay, producers of substitutes, right? Producers of substitutes. I'll very happy because when you're giving me answers, right? I'll very happy. I'm very happy. Producers of substitutes. Then yeah, there is regulators also. This might be a new thing for you, right? There are regulators also, right? Regulatory bodies, right? So these are task environmental factors, right? We have discussed customers, suppliers, and competitors, right? Competitors are the ones who produce products like our business, right? So they are the one who produce, they are the one who make products like our business, right? Then potential interest, right? So you might think potential, sometimes it was a positive thing for us, sometimes it was a negative thing, right? Sometimes it was a opportunity for us, right? Sometimes it was a threat for us, right? Because when the potential investors are investing in our company, right, it was an opportunity for us, right? But the potential investors are investing in another company, right? So it was definitely a threat for us, right? Then producers of substitutes. So what are the examples of substitute producers of substitute? So you know about butter, right? So is there any substitute for butter? Tell me. This is an easy question. Tell me what is the substitute of butter? Tell me what is the substitute of butter? Simple question. What is the substitute of butter? Is there anyone who make cakes here? If you are making cakes, you should definitely know. Okay, no one knows. I'll tell you. Right? So, what is a substitute? Substitute is margarine, right? So, there are butter producers, right? There are margarine producers. So, Astra is margarine, right? So, likewise, for butter producers, there are margarine. So, either you can use margarine or butter to make cakes, right? So, likewise, there are producers of substitute, right? That is also a task environmental factor, right? Then there are regulators, right? Regulatory bodies, the one who uh, give conditions for our business, right? Uh, Taking taxes from our business, right? Those are the regulators, right? So there are then macro environmental factors, right? So this is actually the most important thing here, right? Because it was these environments are actually very large, right? And also these environments can't control by our companies, right? So the reason we should study macro environment is because it was changing frequently, right? It was changing. This macro environment is changing frequently, right? So if we should be prepared for those changes, right? Otherwise, businesses can't run, right? Businesses should be prepared for those changes, right? Then what are the macro environment factors? There are political environment, right? There is political environment. Draw these charts with me. There is political environment and there is economic environment, right? Economic environment. And there is social environment. Social environment. Also, there is legal environment, right? Legal environment. Then also there is technological environment. Technological environment. Technological environment. And there is environmental environment. Environmental environment. Okay. So there is one, two, three, four, five, six. Right? There should be two more. What are those two more? Okay. Chabi, what are those two more environments? There should be demographical environment. And also there should be cultural environment. Right? Okay. So if the exam is asking, right, if the paper is asking, what are the macro environmental factors, you should write every of these, right? Ah, I just forgot the pestle analysis, right? Okay. Let's rewrite this one according to that analysis, right? Pestle, pestle, technological, technological environment. Then again it was environmental environment. Environmental environment. Then legal environment. Okay. Then there is the environment like demographic and cultural. Okay. So the pestle is just like this, right? P E S T E L, right? Now it was very easy for you to remember this one, right? So after pestle, there is two more, right? After pestle, there is two more demographical and cultural, right? You should remember this one, these two also, right? Other than the pestle, right? Political, economical, social, technological, environmental, legal. Rather than those two, those six, right? There is another two more demographic and cultural environments, right? So you should remember those two also, right? Okay. So let's discuss political environment, right? So the political agendas, the political parties, right? Everything is coming under political environment, so, right? Students, now we are going to discuss, right? Now we are going to discuss the most important part here, right? The most important part of this environmental analysis, right? So the thing is, right, you should remember what is the thing, what is the thing you should most remember in this part is you should remember the factors coming under these environment, right? Then only you can identify by watching examples. This is the exact environment type, right? This is the exact macro environmental type, right? So if you know those factors, right, you can definitely identify those environments, right? So we are going to start from political environment, right? So I'm not going to write. I'm just saying, right? But you should write in your note. These are the factors that coming under political environment, right? So these are the factors. Write that down, right? Write those down. Political policies and actions. Political, right here, right? Within bracket, right? Within bracket, putting commas. You can write uh, all those factors, right? Under political environment, there are political policies and actions. Write down political policies and action. Right? Political policies and actions. The next one is political stability and instability. Right? Political stability and instability. Political stability and instability. Right? So each and every factor here having a word called politics. Right? So you can definitely directly identify that is coming under political environment. But this verse, there is no any political word. Write this down. Uh, Efficiency of government officers and local authorities. Write down efficiency of government officers and local authorities. Efficiency of government, efficiency of government officers and local authorities. Okay. I hope you've written that down, right? You hope you wrote that down. Then we are going to discuss economic environment, right? Economic environment is somewhat easier to remember because you know the economic factors because we are an commerce student, right? So if you can't identify economic factors, don't do commerce. Right? Okay, we are going to discuss what are the economic factors. Write down inflation, right? Inflation, GDP, gross domestic product, right? Taxes, employment, national production, distribution of income. Likewise, write down few examples, right? I'm not following that, but that thing too much, right? Okay, you should write few, right? Then next one, we are coming to social environment, right? What are the social environmental factors? Write down social environmental factors, right? Actually, so this was actually write down under that, right? Cultural differences under social environmental, cultural differences, cultural differences. Then also write down religions, religions, religions. religions. Then cultural festivals. Festivals. That is also coming under social environment. Right? Okay, sorry. I got mistaken. Don't write cultural festivals, right? That cultural festival is coming on the cultural environment, right? Right here, right here, right under cultural environment, write down cultural festivals, cultural festivals, cultural festivals. And also religious differences also write down, right? It was coming under social environments also, right? Religious differences also coming under cultural environment, right? Okay, then we are moving to technological environment, right? Technological environment. So this is very crucial. This is very crucial. So you should remember everything. I'm giving you five, right? You should write all the five, right? So write down information and communication technology. These are the technologies and the technological environment. Write down, write down. Information and communication technology. Information and communication technology. The next one, production technology. Production technology. Production technology. Then transportation technology. Transportation technology. Then agricultural technology. Agricultural technology. Agricultural technology. Agricultural technology. Then industrial technology. Industrial technology. I'm giving you seven. Industrial technology. Right? Just just write down by putting commas. Right? Then medical technology. Medical technology. Then digital technology. Medical technology, digital technology. Right? Those are the factors. Those are the factors affecting technological environment, right? Okay, we are coming to environmental environment, or else we can say natural environment, right? You can write here natural environment also, right? Natural environment. So write down the factors that coming under natural environment. Right. First one is natural resources. Natural resources. Write down here. Natural resources. Natural resources. The next one, climate. 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 The next one, weather. 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 Next one, geography. 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 The next one, environmental pollution. Environmental pollution. Then environmental protection. Environmental protection. Environmental protection. Okay, those things are coming under macro environmental factors. Right? Okay, now we are moving to legal environment. Right? There is three more. Right? There is three more. Legal environment. Right now, under legal environment, there are consumer laws. Consumer law. Write down consumer law. Comma. Discrimination law. Speed up your writing. Speed up your writing. Now we are almost at the end of your A-level journey, right? So now you have the ability to writing so fast, right? So now we are going to step up for your bachelor's or something, right? So when you are moving to that bachelor or your diploma, definitely you have the perfect ability to writing, right? You should have perfect writing skills. Then copyright law, right? There are copyright laws, copyright law, then health and safety law, employment law, health and safety law, employment law. Next one, fraud law, then criminal law. Likewise, there are different uh, laws on the legal environment, right? So, so what are the things coming under? It was actually the social environment and demographical cultural environment are more similar, right? But you should remember, right? But you should remember, this is actually a different type of environment under syllabus, right? Especially we are studying especially in school and also in university, right? So when we come to university, we cut off these two things, right? Anyway, but still, you should remember what is demographic and what is cultural environments, right? Under demographic environment, write down. Population is there, right? Population is there. Then population growth is there. Population is there. Population growth is there. Write down by putting commas. Population growth is there. Then sex rate is there. Right? Sex rate is there. Then style of living is there. Right? Style of living is there. Okay. Under cultural environment, you should write the cultural festivals, right? Cultural differences, cultural differences, right? I think you wrote it already, right? Okay, so these are the factors, right? So if you know those factors very well, students, right? If you know those factors very well, you can definitely directly identify what kind of macro environmental factor is this, right? So we know that, right? We know that the opportunities or threats are coming from these macro environmental factors, right? Opportunities and threats are coming, right? Think the government, right? The government is coming under political environment, right? So the government is now uh, willing to have impose some taxes, right? So is it good for businesses? They are going to impose some taxes for businesses. Is it strength for business? Is it sorry, not strength? Is it an opportunity for business? No, right? It was a threat, right? So the businesses should identify those environmental changes and they should take actions for them, right? To survive on the business, right? To survive in the market, to survive in the business industries, there are different industries. They should identify these internal and external factors, right? Internal and external environments, right? So we can call this external environment is dynamic, right? You should remember the word external environment is dynamic, right? It was changing moment to moment, right? Time by time it was changing, right? So the businesses should adapt to those macro environmental factors, right? So it was dynamic, right? So you should write that word also, right? Write down that word also. Okay. So there is another thing under environmental natural environment. So students, you should remember, right? You should remember, right? There is three environmental factors here. Right? I may I forget to write examples for environment. No, I gave, right. So there is a classification of natural resources, right? So there is a classification. Okay, student, right? What are the things that comes under environmental environment? So there are infinite resources, right? Infinite. So please give me an example for infinite resources. Someone please tell me. Someone please tell me what is an example. Give me an example for infinite resource. I want it very quickly. Give me an example. It's very easy, no? Okay, I will write. Right? Water and air. Right? We can find air everywhere, right? And also water everywhere, right? There are reservoirs, right? There are rivers, right? The water and air is everywhere, right? It was natural resource and also infinite, right? Then next one, there is finite renewable resources. Finite renewable resources. Finite renewable resources. Finite renewable resources. Right? What are those finite renewable resources? What are the examples? Right? It was finite, right? Not infinite. Right? So there is few, right? But we can draw it, right? We can, yeah. Uh frosting. Yeah, forest, right? Yeah, forest is a finite renewable resource, right? It was a finite but renewable, right? We can grow forest, right? Even we can grow forest in deserts also, right? If we put some effort, right? If countries put some effort, if countries uh, are willing to spend most of their contribution from their GDP to regrow environment, right? They can even grow uh, forest in deserts also, right? Now Dubai and also the Saudi Arabia, they are trying to grow forest on desert, right? Then, yeah, what are the others? Fish, right? Fish is also limited, right? So you might ask, uh, why the fish is limited, right? So now there are different methods that there are bombs, right? From exploding then bombs, the every fish in there, right, might destroyed, right? Then they are floating on the surface and they are collecting those fish, right? If they do continuously that thing, right, fish resource, the resource of fish will be uh decreasing in a higher speed, right? It was actually not good for environment, right? So fish is infinite but renewable, right? Then there is finite non-renewable resources, right? There are finite non-renewable resources, right? So what are those examples? What are the examples, right? Yeah, gem, definitely. Gem is finite and also non-renewable, right? Gems. And there are what? These days, it was a very talkative topic, right? It was very talkable topic, right? It was trending topic now, right? What is that? What is that? What is example under finite non-renewable resources now in trending? Yeah, oil, definitely. Crude oil, right? Crude oil is finite and also crude oil, finite and also non-renewable, right? Someday it might be from 10 years or 50 years or 100 years, definitely the crude oil will be vanished in earth, right? So we should move to different alternative energy sources, right? So yeah, those are the things that we can discuss under business environment, right? So yeah, those are things, right? Shall we? So I hope you got an idea, right? So there is different few things that we can discuss rather than these things, right? But you should have some effort. You should put some effort, and you should collect more information to this graph, right? To this flow chart, right? So you should go through notes and you should collect more information to this node, right? You should collect more information to this node, right? Then you can face confidently when there is a business environment question, right? Okay, now we are moving to business social responsibilities and ethics, right? Now we are going to discuss business social responsibilities and ethics, right? The second lesson of ours, right? The smallest lesson, right? Smallest lesson. May I clean this board? Right. But take a screenshot before I clean this board. Okay, I hope you got a screenshot. Right. I'm going to clean the board. Okay, students. Now we are moving to second lesson. So we have an achievement, right? We have an achievement in revision. Now we have done a lesson, right? So it was an achievement, right? So we are in a high speed revision, right? So in a high speed, in a very fast speed, we have done a lesson. So I want to tell you guys, it was the lesson that comes most of the marks on of your exam, right? This is the lesson that comes lot of marks on your exam, right? Lot of questions on your exam, right? So you should answer those confidently if you prepare for it, right? If you prepare on it, right, you can answer confidently, right? Okay, then we are moving to business social responsibility and business ethics, right? What is name of the topic? What is the topic? Business. Is this visible, students? Is this color visible? Please tell me. If not, I'm using only black and blue pen. Please give me a message. Send me a message because this pen was around 4 years, right? For this pen, it was 4 years. I have to change this, right? This was my friend, my old friend, right? He serves me for 4 years, right? Okay. If it is visible, I'm not going to change, right? Okay. Business social responsibilities and ethics, right? Business social responsibilities. Oh, I think now it will not visible, right? Anyway, I have to change the pen, right? Business. I put this last word, right? I keep that last word. Business social responsibilities. Abilities and ethics. Second lesson about, right? Business social responsibilities and ethics. Right? Students, right? Students, in this lesson, right? In this lesson, we are going to discuss, right? What we are going to discuss is we are going to discuss business social responsibilities, right? And also, right, we are going to discuss sustainable development. Sustainable development. And also we are going to discuss, right? And also we are going to discuss business ethics. Right? So these are things that we have to cover in this lesson, right? So first we are going to start BSR, business social responsibilities, right? First we are going to start BSR, right? So these are the three things that we have to discuss in this lesson. It was very simple, right? The most easiest lesson, most simplest and most convenient lesson for us in this syllabus, right? So we have discussed only three things, right? First one is business social responsibilities, and second one is sustainable development, and the third one is business ethics, right? So now we are going to discuss, we are going to start BSR. What is BSR? Business social responsibilities, right? business social responsibility, right? Okay, tell me. So there are different definitions for this, right? There are different definitions for this, right? So, so there are different organizations and different people like a World Business Council for Sustainable Development, and the people like Narayan Murthy and Melon Baker, and also countries. Also, countries have also given definitions like the USA given a definition, right? BSR is about taking responsibility for your actions and the impact you have on your society, right? Then the Philippines gave a definition. BR is BSR is about business giving back to the society, right? What are the things that giving back to the society by business is called BSR, right? So if you get something from environment, right? If you get something from the society, right? So you should give something back, right? As a student also, right? As students also, you should follow these business social responsibilities, right? So you might think nothing will gain to me after doing business social responsibilities, right? It was wrong. It was very wrong, right? So there are a lot of students, right? There are a lot of people in the world, right? So they are getting benefited from all these governments and everything, right? All society, and they are staying like selfish people, right? Not helping anyone, right? Not helping another student, right? So they think the selfishness is the most important thing in their life, right? But they doesn't know the importance of these business social responsibilities and also simply social responsibilities, right? So these are very important to your character and also your growth, right? It was not coming directly to you, right? It was coming indirectly, right? So think you are giving something for someone, right? So someday definitely he is going to give back that what he gained from you, right? He definitely give back to you, right? This that might be not in this life, right? That might be not in this life, but it might be happening in another life, right? So what you give back to the society will come back to you, right? Okay. So if you studied science, right? There is I heard that I learned that, right? Every action has a opposite or equal reaction, right? Your whatever the religion you are following, that religion also will teach that thing, right? So this is the religion of business, right? This is the religion of business. In the business world, this is the religion of business, right? What is business social responsibilities and business ethics, right? Okay, we are going to discuss. We are going to write a definition for it, right? So write down definition for it. Students write down this definition. So even though there are different definitions, we are studying only one, right? So but you should remember those definitions given by those different countries and organizations and people, right? Because sometimes the exam is asking, right? There are some questions like who is the person that give this definition, and also sometimes they gave the person or whatever the country or organization they are asking, those are coming to MCQ questions, right? So, so that is why you should not read and remember that thing like a parrot, right? You should remember the key terms on that, right? So take some definitions. Definitely, you should have these notes, right? When we are studying this revision, I said you the first thing you have to do is you should collect notes, right? So the World Business Council for Sustainable Development gave definition like this, right? What is the definition? They said BSR is continuous commitment given by the business to believe ethically and contribute to the economic development while improving the quality of life of the workforce and their families as well as legal community and society at large. Right? So it was very large definition, right? It was not essential to remember all these. So I'm giving you tips, right? Study tips, right? It was not essential to remember all the definition, right? What you can do is So there are some highlighting words in there, right? You should remember those highlighting words, right? Those highlighting words, right? What are so this might different from person to person, right? So sometimes I can catch something that was familiar to me, right? So see, continuous commitment, right? It was something unique in this different definition that gave by World Business Council for Sustainable Development, right? So you should highlight that word, right? So wherever you saw that definition, there is when there was a continuous commitment, that word, right? You can identify that was given by World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Likewise, you can remember in that way, right? So when you remember something, right? It was very easy study tip. You doesn't need to study, you doesn't need to remember the whole definition, right? What you can do is, so we have actually we have only 3 months left also, right? What you can do is you can remember a highlighting word in there, right? So there are some key terms in there, right? What you can do is you can remember those key terms, right? So when you are remembering those key terms, you can identify who is the person, who is the country, or who is the organization that told this definition, right? Okay. So we are going to the definition that we are studying. So if the question is asking what is business social responsibility, this is the answer that we are going to give, right? So write down the legal and ethical bound of business to fulfill. Write down the legal and ethical bound of business to fulfill. The legal and ethical bound of business to fulfill. The legal and ethical bound of business to fulfill. Maximum interest and reduce. Fulfill maximum interest and reduce. Reduce the bad effects of stakeholders. Reduce the bad effects of stakeholders. Reduce the bad effects of stakeholders. Is business social responsibility? Is business social responsibility? Right? Is business social responsibility? Is business social responsibility? Okay. I hope you got that definition, right? We are escaping that part. Now we are going to discuss, right? We are going to discuss before we are studying this business social responsibility. There is something that continuously repeating in exams, right? So we should remember that one also, right? So before we are going to study the areas that we are going to cover business social responsibilities, write this down, write this topic, right? This was actually coming in each and every paper, right? So this might come in your paper also, right? Write down major forces or interested parties and society. Major for major forces for major forces major forces for interested parties and society. Major forces for interested parties and society. These are the major forces. Write down first one, right? Business competition, right? Business competition, right? Business competition. Then globalization, 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 globalization. Then electronic businesses, electronic businesses, electronic businesses. Then environmental pollution, environmental pollution, environmental pollution, environmental pollution. Okay, hope you wrote that down, right? Hope you wrote that down, right? Now we are going to move, we are going to discuss what are the areas that we can fulfill, what are the areas that we can fulfill business social responsibilities, right? So there are four parties, right? So we can classify this that like this, right? So we can divide our page into four, right? We can divide our page into four, right? So first thing, right? First party that we can fulfill business social responsibilities customer. Right? Now let's start from owners. BSR towards owners. Owners. Right? Then there are customers, right? Then BSR towards customers. Then there are BSR towards employees. Employees, right? What is the other one? What is the last one? BSR towards society, right? BSR towards society. Okay, students, right? We can divide this society into three main parts, right? We can divide this society into three main parts. You should remember this one, right? You should remember this one. We can divide this society into three main parts. First one is government. Government. Uh, government. I'm not writing. Yeah. So I'm writing it short, right? Government, right? Government, right? Then there is environment, right? I'm writing that one also in short. Environment, right? Environment, right? Then there is another one, right? Then there is another one, right? What is that one? Give me that one. Give me that one. I'm not going to give, right? You should remember this one. You should know this one. What is the other party? That is three, right? And we can classify society in three. What is the other party? What is the other party? Please I will give you 130 seconds. Please give me the other party. Government, environment, then what is the other party? Just go through whatever the you're not or internet. 30 seconds starting now. 20, 19, 17, 8, 16, 15, 14. So where are the answers? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There are no answers. Right? Okay, community, right? What is the other party? Community, right? Okay, we can classify this society into three, right? Government, environment, and community. Right? You should remember that one. Right? You should remember that one. So the thing, the question is asking, right? Question is asking, like, what are the so the question is like this, right? What are the six parties? Yeah, what are the six parties that you can fulfill business social responsibilities, right? So the question is asking like that, right? But you know only four parties, right? But you know only four parties, right? So what are the other two, right? So when there were six parties, you should write owners, customers, employees, not society, right? You are going to write government, environment, and community, right? Those are the six parties, right? Those are the six parties. Right? If the exam is asking, if the question is asking only four, you can write these four. Right? Okay. Now we are going to discuss what are the social responsibilities towards owners, customers, and employees, and likewise one by one. Right? So towards owners, right? Towards owners, right? So he is investing, right? Owner is the one who investing for the company. So he has some expectations, right? So he is expecting to grow of business, right? Growth of business, right? And also an income, right? Good profit margin, right? Good profit and the transparency of the business. Likewise, there are some expectations of owner, right? So the business, right? Business should fulfill those expectations, right? So that's how the business can fulfill the business social responsibilities of owners, right? Write down the first one, giving reasonable income. Giving reasonable income. You can write here, right? Giving reasonable income. Giving giving reasonable income. You write the next one. Right? Write the next one. Providing economic benefits. Providing economic benefits. Right? So what are the economic benefits rather than income? What are the economic benefits rather than income? You should know those, right? So economic benefits are right. So they have think this is a listed company, right? So they have now stocks, right? So we can take think the share value of a stock, right, is increasing. Share value of stock is increasing, right? That is another economic benefit. Students, give me a second. I want to plug in my laptop. All right. So the next one, right? Those are the economic benefits, right? Rather than income, right? Those are the economic benefits. And then next one, directing managerial activities effectively and honestly, right? Write down directing managerial activities effectively and honestly. Directing managerial activities effectively and honestly. Directing managerial activities effectively and honestly. Then the next one, write down BSR towards employees. Business social responsibility towards business social responsibilities towards employees. Write down, right? Write down the first one. Okay, before we are going to employees, we are going to let's discuss customers, right? BSR towards customers. Write down. Being a fair business. Write down. Being a fair business. Being a fair business. Next one, write down. Fulfilling consumer protection. Fulfilling consumer protection. Fulfilling consumer protection. Next one, protecting consumer rights. Protecting consumer rights. Protecting consumer rights. Protecting consumer rights. Okay, those are the business social responsibilities towards customers, right? So there are some responsibilities towards businesses to fulfill whatever the customer's expectation, right? So if the customer expecting something, so the business should be fair to the customer, right? So that is a BSR towards customers. Those are the BSR towards customers, right? So now we are going to discuss BSR towards employees. Write down, write down. Equality for every employee. Write down here. Equality for every employee, right? Equality for every employee. Equality for every employee. Next one, good employee relationship. Good employee relationship. Good employee relationship. Good employee relationship. Next one, ensuring job safety. Ensuring job safety. Ensuring job safety. ensuring job safety. Next one, providing health facilities. Providing health facilities. Providing health facilities. Okay. So think you are an employee, right? You are an employer, not employee, right? So if you are the employer, right? So you should treat each and every of your employee equally, right? Think so there are two persons, right? So there are two students of mine, right? So I'm treating very well for one student and I'm not treating as like as he or her the other one, right? So I'm not treating both of them equally, right? So what one student is thinking, the one who are not treated well, he is thinking like this stupid fellow is not treating me well, right? What I'm going to do, right? I'm not doing studies, right? Something like that. That you should do studies. Think you are an employee, right? I'm your employer, right? This bugger is not giving me the things that I want, right? I'm not doing this task, right? So if you want, you can do this, right? So likewise, he's not doing things. He's not motivated now, right? So if you are running a business, right, you should treat each and everyone equally, right? You should give their uniform to everyone, right? You should give the sanitary facilities to everyone, right? So likewise, you should treat your employees equally, right? Otherwise, they will not happy with you, right? Then next one, we are going to discuss BSR towards society, right? So now we are going to discuss BSR towards society, right? So as we discussed, society is consisting with these government, environment, and community. You should remember, society is consisting with government, environment, and community, right? So now I'm going to give you whatever the BSR towards society, and you should label that one under government, environment, and community, right? So I'm giving you first one, right? You should put in your chat, right? First one, right? Write down contribution to the employment, right? Contribution to the employment. Write down the first one. Contribution to the employment. Put it in the chat. What is the party that is benefited from that one? Is government, environment, or community? Government, environment, or community? What is the party? Contribution for the employment. Contribution to the employment. So now the business is contributing to the employment. So what is the party benefited? Government or environment or community? Tell me the party. There are three options, only three options, right? Either you should give government or environment or community. Just give me quickly. Just tell me quickly. Just tell me quickly. Yeah, community. Community is correct. And also, government is expecting that one also, right? Government is also expecting that one, right? So that is a business social responsibility towards government and community as well, right? So when we discuss in the third lesson, right? So the full employment is expectation of government, right? You should remember that one, right? Full employment is expectation of expectation in government, right? So government is expecting that, right? So that is this ESR towards both government and community, right? So write that down, right? That is a put a dash, and write down government, comma community, right? Then next one, right? Paying tax on time. Paying tax on time. So give me the party. Give me the party that benefited from that. Paying tax on time. If you are a business, right? You can do this. So who is benefited from that? Paying tax on time. Hope you wrote that down. Tell me the party. Government, yeah, definitely government, right? Write that down. Then next one, producing green products. Producing green products. Producing green products. Producing green products. Environment, right? Environment. The next one, write down. Providing social welfare services. Providing social welfare services. Providing social welfare services. Who is the party? Who is the party? Government, environment, or community? Community, right? Community. Then next one, last one. Being an environmental friendly business. Being an environmental friendly business. Being an environment friendly business. Being an environment friendly business. Environment, right? So you got all the marks, right? So that's how we can do business social responsibilities, right? That's the way that we can easily remember the things under business social responsibilities, right? Okay. Now we are going to discuss, right, the topic called sustainable development, right? Topic called sustainable development. Before we are going to that, so you should remember something, right? You should remember, right? For environment, right? We are doing business social responsibilities now. So there is something called Earth Summit. Have you heard that? Earth Summit. Have you heard Earth Summit? Earth Summit. So it was very important, students. Write that down. The topic Earth Summit, right? So it was happening Rio de Janeiro, right? You know there is a city called Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro. What are the spellings? Janeiro, yeah, yeah. It was like this, right? Janeiro. So Rio de Janeiro. In which year? In which year? It was happened in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in 1992. Brazil in 1992, right? It was happened in 1992. Not there is no double L here, right? So it was happened in Rio de Janeiro, city Rio de Janeiro, country Brazil, in year 1992, right? So what is the purpose of this summit? Write down under that. Put a star and write down. Put a star and write down, right? So write down. This is the United Nations Conference on. This is the United Nations Conference on. This is a United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. This is a United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. Environment and Development. This is the first time, right? This is the first time this summit was held, right? First time this summit was held. First time, right? Okay, now we are going to discuss what are the things that summit discussed, right? Okay, what are the things that summit had discussed? What are the highlights of the summit? Write down these things, students. Write down first one, right? So in that summit, in the Earth Summit, they have discussed inspection for proper manufacturing. Inspection for proper manufacturing. Inspection for proper manufacturing. Manufacturing, right? Inspection for proper manufacturing. Likewise, write down the other ones also, other things also. Write down alternatives for fossil fuels. Alternatives for fossil fuels. Alternatives for fossil fuels. Alternatives for fossil fuels. Next one, write down modern transport methods to reduce pollution. 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 Then issues regarding water resources. Issues regarding water resources. Uh, there is another important thing in this summit, right? There is another important thing is in this summit. Students, you should remember this one also, right? So there was an agreement that made after this Earth summit, right? In that Earth summit, they had made an agreement, right? What is that agreement called? What is the name of that agreement? Agreement is Kyoto Protocol, right? Kyoto Protocol, right? So you should remember this one also. So in the Earth Summit, there is an agreement that they made, right? That is called Kyoto Protocol. Under that, write down. Under that Kyoto Protocol, write down. This is the important agreement made in the Earth Summit regarding climatic changes. Write down. This is the important agreement. This is the important agreement. This is the important agreement created in the Earth Summit. Created in the Earth Summit. Created in the Earth Summit. Created in the Earth Summit regarding climatic changes. Regarding climatic changes. Regarding climatic changes. Okay. Hope you remember that fact, students, right? It was actually very important for your MCQ paper sometimes. For filling the blank section, it was questioning for you, right? That question might come in the filling the blank section, right? Okay. Hope you, I hope you remember everything that we have discussed on the business social responsibility. Now we are moving to the second stage of this lesson, right? Second part of this lesson, that is called what? Sustainable development, right? Now we are moving to the part called sustainable development, right? I'm cleaning the board, right? So I hope you wrote down everything. If not, please go to the recording. Okay. Now this chapter was closed, right? BSR was closed. Now we are going to discuss sustainable development, right? So now we are going to discuss sustainable development. So under sustainable development, write down the topic sustainable development. Under that, write down, students. This is the definition for sustainable development. I will explain you after we wrote the definition. Sustainable development is the development. Write down. Sustainable development is the development. Sustainable development is the development which meets the needs of the present, which meets which meets the which meets the needs of the present, needs of the present, which meets the needs of the present, which meets the needs of the present, needs of the present, without compromising, without compromising, without compromising, without compromising. The ability of future generations, the ability of future generations, the ability of future generations, the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, to the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, to meet their own needs. Yeah, definitely I will repeat it. Right? Write down. Sustainable development is the development which meets. Sustainable development is the development which meets. Sustainable development is a development which meets the needs of the present, 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 without compromising the ability of future generations. Without compromising the ability of future generations. Without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. 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 Okay. So you know what? Who is the party that gave this definition? Write down. This definition also given by World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Below you can write down. This definition also given by World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Okay, World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Okay, let's talk about that definition, right? So here it says, right? Here it says, right? Here it says, we should fulfill our needs and wants, right? The present people, the people in the present generations should fulfill their needs and wants, right? But the the right to fulfill the future generations' needs and wants, right? We should ensure the rights of future generations also, right? So they also have the right to fulfill their needs and wants, right? Think we are doing massive constructions, right? Massive constructions, we are doing massive constructions. We are building massive industries. So what happened was, right? Air will be polluting very soon, right? Air will be polluting from those manufacturing factories, right? But what happened? So for the future generations, right? It was very unhealthy to live in this world, right? If there is a polluted gas, right? Polluted air, right? If the air was polluted, right? It was not suitable to live in this earth anymore, right? So there should be a clean air, right? So we don't have the right to compromise their abilities, right? Compromise their abilities, compromise their right to fulfill their needs and wants, right? So we should fulfill and we should develop and we should grow, right? We should do whatever thing without compromising their abilities to fulfill their needs and wants, right? So that is what called sustainable development. We should develop, right? We should develop, we should fulfill our needs and wants, right? We should grow, right? But we can't compromise the ability to fulfill the needs and wants of future generations, right? So remember the definition, right? It was given by Sustainable World Commission on Environment and Development, right? So sorry, students, I gave you that it was World Business Council for Sustainable Development, right? So no, that is not the party that they gave this definition. Write down just that one. World Commission on Environment and Development. Write down that. Write down this one. World Commission on Environment and Development. My bad, students. World Commission on Environment and Development. World Commission on Environment and Development. Okay, I hope you written that one, right? So we can classify, right? There are three components in sustainable development, right? What are those three components? First one is economic sustainable development, right? You know that one, right? Economic sustainable development. And there is, what is the other one? And there is another two. What are those two? Next one is environmental sustainable development. Environmental sustainable development, right? Then the third one is social sustainable development, right? So write those down. Yeah, social sustainable development, right? Okay, now we are going to discuss these things, right? So, economic sustainable development, what is that, right? So, in economically, right? Economically, people should do, people should engage in economic activities, right? As we discuss in our definition, we doesn't have any right when we are doing economic activities. We doesn't have any right to compromise abilities of future generations to fulfill their needs and wants, right? So when we are doing economic activities, what we should do, right? We should do, we should create new employment, right? We should distribute the incomes uh, in a in a uh, good manner, right? We should uh, we should give the incomes. We should actually, what is the word that we can use? We can distribute the income fairly, right? Fair income distribution, right? That is also very important thing in business economic sustainable development, right? Fair income distribution, right? And what are the things that we can do, right? We can use non-utilized resources, but but we should ensure, right? Those if those resources are non-renewable things, right? If those resources are non-renewable things, we should ensure we should use those resources in a lower uh, speed, right? We should use those resources in a optimum utilization. Yeah, optimum utilization of resources, right? We should do optimum utilization of resources to do economic sustainable development, right? And also we should use those non-renewable resources in a lower speed, right? Otherwise, future generations uh, will they don't have the ability to use those resources, right? Then, yeah, and also we can do risk management, right? We can do risk management. I'm not giving everything, right? You should remember, you should get the idea what I'm saying, and you can remember, you can identify clearly what this is business. Uh, this is on economic sustainable development. This is economic environmental sustainable development, and this is under social sustainable development, right? So that is about economy, right? So yeah, we are moving to environmental sustainable development, right? Environmental sustainable development means, right? We should, while we are doing business, right? We should conserve those environmental factors, right? So there is natural resources, right? We should conserve those natural resources. We should conserve those forests, right? Water, air, right? We should conserve everything while we are doing our productions, right? While we are supplying our services, right? The next one, social sustainable development, right? So we know that everyone have rights, right? Citizens have their own rights, right? Consumers have their own rights, right? There are consumer rights we are going to discuss in the next session, right? Consumers have rights, right? And yeah, residents have rights, right? So everyone should fulfill their rights, right? Everyone, we should do businesses while ensuring rights of people, right? That is what we can discuss under social social sustainable development, right? Okay. So actually, that is summary, right? There is another concept called 4R, right? That is coming under environmental sustainable development. Sometimes you might know that, right? 4R. What is 4R, student? What is 4R? Quickly give me, quickly tell me. Recycle. Yeah. Next one. Reuse. Nice. Reproduce. Reproduce. No, reproduce isn't there, right? It was replace, students, right? Recycle, reuse, reduce, replace, right? recycle, reuse, reduce, replace. Right? This is 4R, right? This is 4R. But when it comes to 5R, right? Then when it comes to 5R, those things will be added, right? Reproduce will come in 5R, right? But in our syllabus, we are discussing only 4R, right? It was common knowledge, right? It was general knowledge. You should remember those reproduce or some other things also, right? So, yeah. Uh, you should remember these four when it comes to four, right? Recycle, reuse, reduce, and replace, right? You should know the examples also, right? Student, it was very important, right? Let's discuss examples, right? So, in recycle, there is two examples: upcycle and low cycle, right? Upcycle and low cycle, right? Give me an example for upcycle. So, think, you have hey, you have hey, you know hey, this hey, right? Not this hey, not this hey. Just this way, right? You know, hey, tell me. You please let me. Yeah, you know, you know, right? Yeah. We can produce, right? We can produce paper from hay, right? We can convert this hay into paper, right? So that is upcycle, right? Your example is correct, right? For low cycle, right? For low cycle, we can take, right? We can take cars, right? So Japan, the countries like Japan and England, they are crushing cars to get steel, right? Car convert into iron and steel, right? So they convert car into iron, right? It was actually low cycle. The value is decreasing. Here, the value is increasing, right? That is upcycle. You should remember this. For upcycle, these are examples. For low cycle, these are examples, right? For reuse, right? What are the examples for reuse? For reuse, you can take examples like using lunch boxes, right? Because think you're using lunch sheet or something for eat foods, right? So you are dumping that one, right? You are not using it again. But if you use lunch boxes, what you can do is you can consume it daily after cleaning it, right? The next one, reduce. We can reduce using the non-degradable things, right? We can actually reduce using polythene. Using polythene. Then next one, replace. What is replace? Yeah, paper bags. We can yeah. For replace, we can use without using polythene, we can use paper bags, right? Yeah. Uh, yeah. We can replace paper bags without polythene bag. Yeah, polythene. We can replace that one to paper bags. Okay. These are the examples, right? Replace. Okay. So this is for now we are going to discuss business ethics. Students, we are actually at the end of the lesson, right? So, so this one is also done. BSR is done. Customer development is also done. Now we are going to business ethics, right? I'm cleaning the board, right? So you see the importance of high-speed revision, right? You can revise those things very quickly, right? You can revise those things very quickly, right? So revision is very important when you have busy schedule, right? When you have to do studies, right? When you have to do accounting, when you have to do economic, right? For business, right? This revision is very important because you remember, right? These things are exist in our syllabus, right? Sometimes you might forget that these are not exist in your mind and also syllabus, right? So this is the way, right? The revision It's very important to remember that these are available in our syllabus, right? Okay. Now we are moving to business ethics, right? Business ethics. Okay. Under business ethics, we can discuss, right? We can discuss, right? There are five types of business ethics, right? There are five types of business ethics, right? Okay. Let's write down the definition. Let's write down the definition for it. Right? Write down. This refers. This refers. This refers as. This refers as what is good and what is bad. This refers as what is good and what is bad. This refers as what is good and what is bad. This refers as what is good and what is bad. Organizations are trying to do. Organizations are trying to do. Organizations are trying to do the right thing by avoiding bad things. Organizations are trying to do the right things by the right things by organizations are trying to do the right things by organizations are organizations are trying to do right things by avoiding bad things in order to follow business ethics. Right things by avoiding bad things. Right things by avoiding bad things. Avoiding bad things in order to follow business ethics. In order to follow business ethics. In order to follow business ethics. Okay. So that is the definition of business ethics, right? So actually, the simple definition is doing good things and not doing bad things, right? The simple definition of business ethics is doing good things and not doing bad things, right? It was kind of a Montessori definition, but there is a value, there is a meaning, right? So I hope you, when you are doing something in your school or something in your university or whatever, right? So there are some rules, right? Rules are like you should do these things and not do these things, right? So if you have done that unappropriate thing in your university or school in your university, right? You might expel from your that exam, right? So we have done right. We don't have any right to do those uh don'ts, right? We don't have any right to do those don'ts, right? We have only right to do that do's, right? Do's and there are do's and don'ts, right? Okay. Now we are going to discuss types of business ethics, right? First one, write down. First one, write down. Business ethics on finance. Business ethics on finance. Okay. When you are handling finance in your company, right? You should know, right? You should keep transparency, right? You should keep transparency. So whatever the time the owners or investors are requesting accounts from you, right? Whatever the place or whatever the time, right? So actually, the business accounts are should keep in the head office of the business, right? So when the investors are every investor comment, they can check those account statements, right? So when you are doing those accounting, right, and also finance, right, when you collect funds for your business, when you invest funds for your business, right, you should do that thing in a transparent manner, right? That's what we discuss under business ethics on finance, right? The next one, right, you have no right to do frauds or that kind of things, right? Then business ethics on human resource, right? Business ethics on human resources. Okay. When you are dealing with human resource, right? you should deal with in a good manner, right? So there are do's and don'ts, right? So what are do's, right? You can solve employee conflicts and problems, right? And also, you should not do any inequality things, right? You should do all the things on equality, right? You should do all things on equality basis, right? So those are the things that you can do under business ethics on human resource, right? Then business ethics on marketing. There are business ethics on marketing. Ah, when you are doing marketing, right? You can't do fraudulent activities, right? You can't you can't tell lies actually when you are doing marketing, right? You should give the proper and the actual image, right? So if you give a wrong image, right, sometimes it might damage your businesses actually the image, right? It will destroy your image of business if you do fraudulent things, right? So think customer misconducts must be avoided, right? We should avoid customer misconducts, right? Okay, then black market must be avoided, right? Another thing, black market also must be avoided, right? The next one, business ethics on production, right? Fourth one, business ethics on production. When you are doing production, right, you should use proper raw materials, right? You should use proper production methods, right? You should give a proper output for the customers, right? So that those are the business ethics on production. Quality raw materials must be used, environmental pollution must be reduced, right? The next one, business ethics on intelligent property. Business ethics on intelligent property. Okay, think you're going to create a movie or something, right? Think you're going to write a book, right? So there should not be any copies, right? If you are copying something from another author, right, you should give them credits, right? So, but you can definitely paraphrase those things, right? You can definitely paraphrase and write from your own words, right? But if you are writing that thing, if you are copying and pasting that thing, right? You should give them credits by quoting those things, right? When you are doing some innovation or when you are doing any song or anything, right? If you are getting some information from someone or anything, right? If it is owned by another one, you should give them credit, right? Otherwise, it will be a damage to intellectual properties, right? Okay, so when you are doing some things, right? There are frauds on patents, right? You should follow the rules under patents, right? So, and also data and information. Also, you can't use another one's information without their permission, right? That is what we can discuss under business ethics on intellectual properties, right? So there is another one called code of conduct. Student, write down this one. Code of conduct. Code of conduct. This is also something important, right? Write down under that definition of it, right? The written document which is consistent, right? Write down the written document which is consistent. The written document which is consistent of guidelines for employees of business is called the written document which is consistent, guidelines for employees of business is called code of ethics. Code of ethics. Code of ethics. Right? Code of ethics. Okay. So code of ethics is something important to identify what are the things, what are the responsibilities towards us, right? What are the things that we should follow, right? So each and every organization have their unique, different, their unique code of ethics, right? So in that, right, in that, those business ethics, right, business ethics are in written, right? So those business ethics are written in those code of ethics, right? So that is the difference, right? So there are business ethics, right? If those business ethics are written in somewhere, right, that is called code of ethics, right? That is called code of ethics, right? Okay. Also, we can say it like code of conduct, right? So, what are the things that we can actually get from this lesson, right? Actually, when you are doing a business, right, when you are doing a business, right, you should follow these business social responsibilities, sustainable development policies, and business ethics, right? So what entire lesson is explaining is you should treat well your stakeholders, right? You should give something. If you are taking something from your stakeholders, right, you should give positive things for your stakeholders. Then they will again treat you better, right? They will again treat you better, right? That is summary of this lesson. And we have done this lesson, right? We have done the second lesson also, right? So cheers to us, right? We have done two lessons now, right? So there is only there is only, but only there are 16 lessons more to discuss, right? So we have 16 lessons to discuss uh, in next few months, right? Okay. So as we discuss everything, right? I hope you got something from the today's lesson, right? Arrange a good note, prepare a good note, and study well, right? You will collect notes, right? From those notes, extract important things to this note, right? Create a good note. Yeah, do your studies and send me those notes also to check, right? If you have written something wrong, right, I can check those things, right? So, yeah, and then have a good night, right? See you again on Wednesday while writing a paper, right? We are going to write a paper on Wednesday, right? So good luck, all, right? So, good luck. Good night. Yeah, welcome, Buddha.